All of us are born with a superpower, the power to imagine, visualize, and dream whatever we want into existence. Activating this power requires making the right choices. My name is Mudit Mohilay. I'm 28 years old. I work as Director of Marketing and Communications at a leading IT services company. I've also worked as a technology journalist, publishing over 3,500 articles. I was also part of the founding team of an angel-funded media startup. Before all of that, I was a 10-year-old child studying in a charity school, sobbing with frustration because I couldn't read my favorite book. Today, I'm here to talk to you about choices and how making the right choices can enable you to push your mental, physical, financial, and emotional boundaries. At the end of this talk, I hope to leave you with a couple of choice frameworks that have helped shape and grow my life and that I hope will benefit you on your journey. The first framework that I want to talk about is visualizing your purpose. Let me start with a question. How many of you here have read the Harry Potter series? Can I see some raised hands, please? Great. I mentioned Harry Potter because the book had a profound impact on my life. When I was 11, I was studying in a charity school back in my hometown of Varanasi. We had volunteers from all over the globe who came and taught us. One of the volunteers was a British lady named John. John bought me my first book, which was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. The book was in Hindi. I read the book, fell in love. I connected with Harry, Hermione, Ron, their journey. I was the same age after all. I finished the book and I immediately wanted more. John then bought me my second book, which was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. But here was the twist. She bought me that book in English. Now imagine my plight. I'm 11, in love with a story. I can't wait to know what happens to Harry next, but I can't read a word. What did I do? I sat down for weeks with the book, looking at its cover, visualizing that I was reading it, trying to understand, trying to tell myself that this is the journey that Harry must be going through. At times, I thought John was just playing a cruel joke on me. I thought she hated me. Then she bought me my second book, which was an English to Hindi dictionary. Armed with that book, I taught myself to teach English from scratch. It was a painstaking journey and one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. Unlike Harry, my story didn't have a giant snake trying to kill me, but I assure you, to me it was just as hard. John then kept buying me books, The Prisoner of Azkaban, Goblet of Fire, and so on. This started a lifelong love of reading that I carry to this day. Fast forward a few years, I just joined engineering. Now, I was in a situation where I had joined engineering, but I still had to figure out a way to make ends meet, to pay my fees, to pay my hostel, etc. And to top it all, I just started dating, which again is an expensive affair. What did I do? I resorted back to my old trick. For weeks right after I woke up, I would sit down and visualize that I was making money. I had no idea how it would happen. I had no skills to speak of. But every day right after I woke up, in my mind, I could see it happening. A couple of weeks later, someone reached out to me, out of the blue. They were starting up a media company, and they asked me if I wanted to write for them. Because of all the reading that I'd done, I had a way with words. I joined them, and I started writing. One thing led to another, and a couple of years down the line, I was part of the founding team of an angel-funded media startup, authoring over 3,500 articles in the process, published on all sorts of platforms like CNBC, VentureBeat, etc. Now, how did visualizing that I could read Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets lead me here? Because I have to say, That was the break that I needed. Joining the founding team of that startup was the start of a rich and rewarding career that brought me here. How do we connect? How do we reconcile these two things? Visualization is the key. In Urdu, there is a saying that basically says that if you want something hard enough, the entire universe conspires to give it to you. Ancient Indian scriptures talk about how the external world is an extension of our minds. Modern philosophers and books such as The Secret talk about how if you can visualize something, you can make it happen. But is there a science behind it? Turns out there actually is. Our brain has a fascinating component called the RAS, or the reticular activation system. The RAS controls a lot of different things, including motivation, behavior, parts of consciousness. The RAS also acts as a gatekeeper, and it limits the sensory data that we receive from the outside world. It decides what data gets precedence once it reaches our minds. Now, during research, scientists found something fascinating about the RAS. If I imagine that I'm raising my right hand, and if I actually raise it, the same areas of the brain light up. The RAS cannot differentiate between visualization and actual activity. The researchers took it a step further. They gathered a group of basketball players, and they asked them to make a particularly difficult shot. They found that players who visualized the shot, who visualized making it successfully over and over again, had a much higher success rate on an average than the players who didn't. What does this tell us? Our mind is powerful beyond measure. When we imagine something over and over again, when we visualize a goal or an outcome over and over again, the mind takes it as a signal that this is something that needs to be done. The RAS engages, and then out of all the sensory data that we receive, it picks out resources and opportunities that can help us meet our goals. The mind takes on a proactive, solution-oriented approach that takes us through the journey to our goals. So, you see, daydreaming can actually help. You just have to daydream about the right stuff. So my first tip to you is this. Figure out your purpose. Make it grand. If you are going in, might as well go all in. Once you have visualized your purpose, once you have fixed on your purpose, visualize the journey over and over and over again, and life will surprise you. Any ideas when I used the superpower last? A couple of months ago, when I decided that I wanted to be a TEDx speaker. The next 2 months, every day I woke up, I could see myself standing on this stage, talking to this lovely audience. And here I am. With this, I move to the second and final recommendation, which is the choice of your circle. There's a small exercise I'd like all of you to do. Close your eyes for 5 seconds and think of the people you spend most of your time with. Think of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. We'll get back to this, but before, let me tell you a small story. Belgian horses are some of the strongest, healthiest horses in the world. One Belgian horse can pull almost 12,000 pounds. The global average human weight is around 130 pounds. So a single Belgian horse can pull almost the weight of 100 humans. What happens if you yoke 2 Belgian horses together? Logic would dictate that the pair would be able to pull 12,000 plus 12,000, 24,000 pounds. But that is far from the truth. 2 Belgian horses yoked together can pull almost 36,000 pounds, which is an increase of more than 50%. What is the reason behind this inexplicable burst of strength? Where does this come from? When you tie 2 Belgian horses together, Each of them wants to be the one setting the pace. Each of them wants to be the one who is leading. Tying these two horses together allows them to tap into their full potential. This is healthy competition at its best. And they reach heights which they couldn't do on their own. A lot of writers and philosophers have spoken about this. There is a famous saying that if you spend your time with 5 millionaires, soon you'll be the 6th. There's another which says that we are the average of the 5 people we spend most of our time with. It's a good mental exercise to, from time to time, take inventory of the people you are spending most of your time with. Eventually, they are going to play a major role in how your life turns out. That marks the end of my talk. I hope you take away something useful that will help you in your own life's journeys. Being here is no accident. According to research, the chances of any of us being here in this place is 1 in 400 trillion. 1 in 400 trillion. Let that number sink in. I leave you with a quote from my favorite author, Oscar Wilde. To love oneself is the beginning of a beautiful, lifelong romance. That's my time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being a lovely audience.